So we are gonna go over today the project management office, okay? So just kind of a couple of rules for training. I can't sit still for over an hour and a half. So we will break every hour and a half, so everybody can kind of get up, go to the bathroom, go get a Coke, go get snacks, go do whatever you do. The breaks will be about 5-10 minutes, and then we'll come back and get back at it, okay? So that'll be kind of our projection. We're starting at 8:30, so Melissa, you get to keep the time. So at 10 o'clock, I'm gonna get on a roll here and get all excited and get going. So when I get going, I don't realize what time it is. When I get close to 10 o'clock, give me a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, so this is meant to give you guys a rundown from top to bottom of PMO, okay? So we're gonna go over a bunch of concepts, the packets. Everybody's got a packet, right? Megan, can you hear me from over here?
Not really.
Oh. How about now?
That's a little better.
Okay, just turn your volume up.
It's all the way up.
All right, you gotta take me off of mute because I know you like to mute me when I talk.
I can still hear you.
Oh,
You just wouldn't hear me.
Yeah, definitely put me on mute. I don't wanna hear anything that's going on in Ohio. Thank you.
There's nothing going on.
Thank you, I
I'm
appreciate it.
struggling trying to hear you, that's all.
All right, so we're gonna go over PMO today, hour and a half, we'll take a break every hour and a half. Anybody have any hard lunch times? Anybody say, oh, I gotta go get my kid at 12 or anything like that? No, okay, so we'll probably break, probably it'll make sense to break around 11:30, 11:45 for lunch, that'll be our second break anyway. So we'll break for lunch, come back in an hour, and roll from there, okay? I expect this to take most of the day. To be honest, I haven't trained like this and using this deck before, so I'm not really sure. It will greatly depend on your level of questions, okay? As I go through this stuff, a lot of this stuff is kind of complicated, okay? I need you guys to stop me. I need you guys to ask questions, raise your hand, throw something at me, say, hey, I don't understand what you're talking about, okay? Nobody asks any questions. I assume you know what I'm talking about and that you understand the concepts that I'm throwing. Okay, so you gotta, it's definitely meant to be participatory. Okay, if I sit up here and lecture for 8 hours, I'm gonna fall asleep. Or I'm gonna need 3 more of those and you guys don't wanna see that. Okay. Think of any of the other rules. I think that's it. It's definitely there, so you guys know the audience. Melissa is brand new. She just started today. She gets thrown right into working with me, God bless her. And so she's brand new. Krista worked at Barrister like 18,000 years ago.
Year and a half.
And did kind of what Amanda Bingham does now, okay? Did customer satisfaction, or what it was back then. And so now she came back about, what, I don't know, a month ago. And now she's doing PMO, okay? So she's kind of gotten a little bit of the blessing of PMO and started to learn what PMO is, but definitely no idea of concepts and terms and slang and all that kind of stuff. Tiana, Shannon, been here forever. Do our commercial delivery though, right? Do the other side of our business. So this could be brand new concepts to them. They're gonna have a hell of a time applying the concepts that they know on a daily basis to what we do over here. Okay, they're gonna say, you do what? That's gonna happen about 12 times to them. Okay? Candace runs that group and is responsible for that group. She's been here forever too. And Brooke is relatively new, right? How long have you been here, Brooke?
2 months.
2 months. How do you like working here?
Pretty good.
Got any tips you want to give Melissa? None
Stay
yet?
focused.
Stay focused. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right. So we got kind of a wide audience. Megan's on the phone. Megan's worked here almost as long as I have. Right, Megan?
Yep.
And Megan's done a shitload of different things here. She has done CRS. She has done tag. She's managed tag. She's done PMO now for what, about a year?
Yeah.
Okay. Megan just finished running our second largest deployment that we ever did for Home Depot, and did a pretty bang up job. And so she'll be, Megan, I want you to chime in and give some real life experience as we go through this stuff, okay?
Sure.
and I want you to call me out when I say something that's a concept, but not true in reality.
Okay.
Okay? So what we're gonna talk about today is concepts, right? The plan, the strategy, what we wanna do, what our goals are, all that kind of stuff, right? And then when you get into the throes and goes of a real project, some of it kind of gets thrown outside and we improvise, right? So Megan's been able to do that. She knows how to do that, what to do. So she's pretty involved in that. So she'll be a good resource. Okay? All right, any questions before we start? No? Okay. There will be a test. I know there's been a rumor going around that there won't be a test. There will be a test. There will be a test. It's 10 questions. It's one multiple choice, just because I believe in one gimme question. And 9 sentence questions, describing kind of things. It's not hard. If you pay attention, I promise you'll get the name. I am a hard grader though. There are keywords I look for. So,
Right on first.
okay. I will give hints throughout the training on what's going to be on the test. Okay? So if you pay attention and catch the little keywords, you'll know exactly what's on the test. The test will be open book, open notebook, open computer, open everything. Okay? You can use whatever resources you have at your disposal to take the test. Okay?
Bless you.
Megan, bless you. Bless you. I'm gonna email you the test, okay, Megan? Just
Okay.
remind me to do that when we go to lunch.
All right.
Okay? All right. I'm passing the roster around. Anybody else have any questions before we start? We can go ahead and get started. All right, we will get started. It's right here. Okay, so thank you guys for coming today and kind of going through this with me. Let's see if I can get one of those to work. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is what is PMO, okay? So at Barrister, we do a lot of stuff, right? Basically, what we do is we have all these field technicians out there, right? All across the United States. They can go out and do different things for us, right? Typically, they're IT related. Sometimes they're furniture related when we get a wild RFRS. But typically, they're IT related, right? In our commercial world, where most of you guys come from, we are responsible for going out and repairing some type of equipment, right? And we're doing that in what we call a reactive mode, okay? We stand by, we wait for a customer to call, customer calls, and then we react, right? We go on site, we order parts, we troubleshoot, we do whatever it is, right? In the project management world, it's completely different, okay? We are completely proactive, okay? In the PMO world, what we're doing is we are getting information from a customer day one. Here are the 2,000 places you have to go and do something, okay? And we know, within some relative amount of certainty, what we gotta go do, and where we gotta do it, and when we gotta go do it, okay? So there's a lot of planning that goes into our world that doesn't necessarily go into the commercial world, okay? It's a completely different type of delivery model, okay? So up front, when the customer signs up with us, we know what we're going to do, okay? Whereas in the commercial world, you're going ahead and just reacting to a customer request, and you have a day to do so. In the PMO world, our typical rule is we got at least 3 days. Sometimes we have up to a month, right, to go ahead and plan something out and build it out. Okay? So the project, the project management organization, so that's what PMO stands for, right? Project Management Organization, is responsible for delivering a proactive service delivery on equipment across the United States. Okay?
One more time.
Project Management Organization is responsible for delivering proactive service on equipment across the United States. Basically,
I thought you guys did some stuff in Canada, so
we do. That's why I said basically the United States. Okay. We can really do it wherever we have staff. So if that happens to be, hey, tomorrow we sign up technicians in Italy, then we do it. It's not bound by job. in the PMO organization, or in the PMO, we have three main roles, okay? We have dispatch, we have a project coordinator, and we have a project manager, okay? Dispatch in PMO is the same as it is in commercial, okay? Dispatch is responsible for assigning a technician. Qualified, preferably. Setting an ETA, most definitely. They are not contacting the customer. Okay, dispatch and PMO is simply responsible for assigning a technician. We'll get into it later, but typically we are not communicating with the technician. Okay, typically we're coordinating with a project manager on the customer side and working with them directly, but we are not typically working with an end user. Okay, so for example, Megan just finished Home Depot, we talked about. We didn't call any Home Depot stores. Okay, we don't call Home Depot. We talked to our partner NCR, they coordinate with the end user. Okay. The second role that we have is a project coordinator. Okay, project coordinators are responsible for the day-to-day task of getting things done. Okay, they wear some of the hat that a CRS wears in the commercial world. Okay, they're responsible for working with technicians, making sure they're going to site on time, making sure they arrive. They may sit on conference bridges. Okay, so part of the project management role sometimes is technicians have to call in when they get on site and call in when they leave, and maybe even call in the middle to give us some information, right? A project coordinator would be responsible for manning a conference bridge where those techs are calling in all day, okay? So they just sit on the conference bridge, tech calls in, they say, hi, can I help you? And then walk the technician through whatever information we need. Okay? Project coordinators are also going to manage deliverables. Okay? Right, Megan? Don't just project coordinators are the only ones responsible for deliverables, right?
Usually, yes.
So they are also responsible for deliverables, okay? We'll talk about what deliverables are and that kind of stuff later, but that's a big difference in PMO world versus commercial world. Okay? And then we have a project manager, okay? Project manager is assigned by account or by project, much like a CRS is. Project manager would work day to day with the customers or the partners, project manager. Project manager would be responsible for determining schedule. Project manager would be responsible for managing the dispatch and project coordination resources, okay? And making sure the calls are getting assigned, the texts are getting confirmed, all those kind of things. Project manager is also responsible for any level of reporting, okay? So we have a lot of reporting that we have to do in PMO world, typically on a daily basis, okay? That has to be turned into a project manager to tell them overall status of the project, okay? So they'd be responsible for that. And at the end of the day, they're responsible for success or failure, okay? So in my world, I hold them responsible for a win or a loss. Okay? I don't care about dispatch, I don't care about project coordinators, I just care about the project manager. I go to the project manager when something goes wrong. They're responsible for coordinating the resources, okay? Dispatch and project coordinators do not work for project managers, but project managers are responsible for their effort and their day-to-day task, okay? Project manager is a tough job.
From our side, like commercial, can we look at the project manager as equivalent to being like a kickoff call with someone, and then it goes to tag, and then it comes to us, the CRS, to run it?
The CRS role really splits between these two jobs right here, because some of it, project coordinating, is working a bucket, right?
Okay.
Is making the tech,
Right.
making sure the tech goes and calling in user, although we don't call in users, that kind of stuff. So project coordinator is kind of that piece. When you look at it more as a managing a customer, right? So Shannon talks to Xerox on the day, once a day. AIG, perfect example. AIG. You talk to AIG once a day.
Twice.
That's more project manager,
Okay.
Here's what's going on in your business, here are the 10 calls we have open, that kind of stuff, that's project manager.
Okay.
The actual work of getting the techs on site and getting them dispatched, that's coordinator and the dispatcher's assignment. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I kind of blended a little bit. Okay.
Can you tell me what the tag is?
Oh,
That stands
yep,
for?
sorry, tag is technician assignment group. They're the ones responsible for assigning technicians.
Which would also be dispatch?
Dispatcher, same, yep, you'll hear me using interchangeably. But, they have, a process that they go through. So, we have a tool that we use, and actually we have two, and you'll see one here in a little bit. But, they have a tool that they use, where basically the system tells them, hey, this call's available in this zip code. And it shows them the list of technicians that we have that's at about 1,500, 200-mile radius.
Right.
And then they're responsible for calling down that list, getting the guy booked, negotiating rate, and getting them assigned to that minimum scale. Good question. Okay. All right, so real quick review of the project management process. Okay, so we're gonna talk about it in detail, and there's a bunch of documents about it and stuff like that, so we're gonna go into it in detail. I'm gonna give you guys an overall review of the project management process. Okay? It always starts with a document comes from sales. Okay? Sales is responsible for crafting the deal with the customer, getting a statement of work signed, and defining that into our own documented processes. Okay, and we'll go over how they do that in a little bit. Okay, so that comes over. Okay, goes into contracts. Contracts creates the customer and does all that stuff, and then kind of hands off. Okay, at that point, I would assign a project manager. Okay, so I would assign a Megan for the project. I'd send her the information. We'd have a brief review if needed, and then she's responsible for running. Okay, so project manager then owns it. Project manager is responsible. First thing we always do is a kickoff call. Okay, we get on the phone with the customer, and we go through statement of work, details, requirements, make sure everybody understands, here's what we're doing, here's what we're not doing. Okay, we're gonna live to that statement of work. We're gonna talk a lot about that today, but we go through that statement of work. And if at that moment, the customer says, wait, I want A, not B, we stop and we redo it. Okay, just go back to the top.
The dog.
Yep. So we'll talk, we cover that in detail later on. So they do the kickoff call. They may possibly build a schedule. Okay, so for example, Home Depot, they said here are 900 stores, you tell me when you want to go do them. So we build a schedule. Okay. They're gonna go ahead and get all the calls on the system of record. They're gonna go ahead and inform dispatch, hey, here's what has to be assigned. They're gonna work pretty directly with those dispatch resources. Usually for a sizable project, when we're humming and gumming, I will assign a dispatcher or a team of dispatchers to a project manager. So for example, when we were doing Home Depot, we had 3 people who were assigned just to Home Depot. And so Megan could coordinate those resources as she saw fit, right? Whereas in you guys' world, in the commercial world, you gotta go to this big, mean organization called TAG when there's a problem. Megan would just pick up the phone and call Jonathan Marks and say, hey, what's going on, right? It's a little bit different.
So how do you determine which agent's gonna be your project manager?
Kind of the same way you determine who a CRS is. Kind of sometimes it's luck of the draw, sometimes it's based on volume, sometimes it's based on experience with that partner. So like Megan's gotten really good, as much as she hates to hear it, really good at working with this customer, the Beam team. They really like her. So from now on, anytime I get a call for a project for the Beam team, they're probably going to Megan. Unless Megan's workload's really high and then I can push it somewhere else, right? Just kind of look and see who I got on the team and spread the word.
CRS.
CRS is Client Relationship Specialist. CRS exists on the other side of the business, on the reactive side of the business, and they are responsible for managing the service center. Okay, They live in a different world in the sense that project manager manages a project, so you could have 1,000 events inside of a project. Project manager manages that project. CRS manages customers, and they could have 1, 2, 7, 100 service calls inside of that number. And they just live to that service, that individual service call, whereas we're living to an individual project. There's a difference in the way we group.
What did the S stand for? Client relationship
Specialist.
specialist.
It also stands for can't remember shit.
What?
Can't remember shit.
Oh. Really? Rude.
All right, so we get the calls assigned, we schedule them, okay? We do a 3-day confirm process, okay? So all of our projects, all of our calls are confirmed 3 days out. So at 72 hours out, you know, if you're running a call on Thursday, you're gonna get a call from us on Monday. You're gonna get a call from us on Tuesday. You're gonna get a call from us on Wednesday. Hey, you still going? Hey, you got your tools? Hey, you got your install guide? Hey, you remember your jeans? Hey, you know you gotta be on site on time. Hey, you know you gotta call this conference bridge, whatever the specific requirements are, okay? We create a script for each one of our confirmations. Well, we create a script for most of our confirmations. Depending on the size of the project, some of them just get the generic one, but that's a big piece, that 3-day confirmation, okay? So they do 3-day, 2-day, 1-day. That's typically the project coordinator, okay? They go on site, techs do whatever they're supposed to do, close out the call, or complete service, I should say. And then the biggest piece of the whole puzzle, the piece that always gives us the most trouble, is then techs are typically responsible for returning some type of deliverable to us. In your packet, we're gonna go through it as we get there, but they have a variety of different deliverables based on the project, okay? Could be a sign-off sheet, could be serial numbers that they installed, could be pictures, it could be drawings, okay? Could be an AutoCAD drawing, a space drawing, a bunch of different stuff, okay? Just kind of depending on what the project is. The key is though, that's always defined all the way up top during the kickoff call. Before we start, we gotta know what we gotta give them, otherwise we can't do it, okay? Typically, in project world, without a deliverable, I can't bill, okay? So if tech doesn't turn in a deliverable, it might as well have not done the work. Because I can't pay them and I can't bill it. Okay? Questions so far? That's kind of the big overarching process. Everybody understands the individual roles, everybody understands what a PC is, PM, dispatch, how they fail. I got it. Okay. All right. First time you get to use this trusty packet. All right, first section, this packet I gave you, just kind of a big stack of information. Always has a big white piece of paper on top. It says services we sell, right? There's several different documents inside of this packet. Every time a new document hits, it's separated by one of these, okay? So first thing we're gonna talk about is the services that we provide, okay? This document, and we're gonna go through it specifically, but this document does a really good job of going into detail of what we actually sell and how we sell it, okay? So, I wanted to provide it to you guys so you can use it kind of as a takeaway, but we'll talk about it too, okay? All right, the biggest service that we provide in the PMO world is deployment removals, okay? A typical service for us is we're going out and installing 2,000 PCs. You're going out and pulling out 50 desktops. You're going out and installing 25 televisions. Okay, that is our bread and butter, if you will. 60% of what we do is installing and deinstalling equipment. Okay? That's pretty straightforward. There's not much complication to that, right? Showing up, unboxing some stuff, plugging in some stuff, maybe disconnecting some stuff, reboxing it, shipping it back, something like that. Right? Every project is different. Every project has a different list of requirements of what we have to do. Okay. Second type of project that we sell, we step back. Second type of service that we sell and we manage in project management is on-site labor and staffing. Okay? We have a large amount of customers who come to us and say, I would like somebody on site for the next 6 weeks. And so we assign them a technician, and that technician goes on site for the next 6 weeks. Don't know what he does, quite honestly don't care what he does. Customer pays by the hour, by the day, by the half day, by the body, however those are split. Okay, it's just typical staffing, right? Third type of project we'll do, asset inventories. Okay. Customers will call us or will purchase a service from us to come on site and count all their equipment and take a basic inventory. Gather a serial number, gather a make and model number, maybe a username, what type of memory does it have, that kind of stuff. What software does it have, that kind of stuff. Okay. Typically, we'll fill out a big asset inventory sheet, big spreadsheet, fill it out with all the information. Okay, and share that with them. We're doing one right now in, I don't know, somewhere in Central California, for Children's Hospital. And we're inventorying over 9,000 assets. So they go to every asset, they gather the serial number, make, model, what type of software it has, who the last logged in user is. They type it into a spreadsheet. They do that for all 8,900 assets. Send us a sheet.
Asset is meaning,
Asset, like, IT. Yeah, typically it's an IT asset, but it wouldn't be locked down to IT. So like at the hospital, we're also counting tables, IV machines. So I mean, just kind of whatever assets you have.
okay.
You got to think about what we do as, especially in the project world. The commercial world is a very specific scope, right? Commercial, or in the, I keep saying commercial, but in the reactive delivery model, it's a very specific scope of work. You want to fix a piece of equipment 99% of the time. If something's broken, you're going to fix it. In our world, it's completely different. It is, we have this workforce of 15,000 engineers across the U.S. Whatever you want us to do, we'll do it, right? Whatever you need this workforce to go do, okay? Could be a wide variety of things. We'll talk about some of those as we go through. But anywhere from hanging signs, counting equipment, counting assets, that have to be IT related. Typically is, because that's our bread and butter business, but we'll do other things too. Yeah.
So asset is broad, in other words.
Asset is very
Is
broad.
very broad, okay.
Yep, very broad. Good question. All right. Next type of service is what we call GCC remote services. Okay. GCC, you'll hear that term in PMO a lot, right? Right, Kristen? Is our Global Command Center. That's what GCC stands for. Okay. Sounds really, really fancy. Sounds like we got this big room with hundreds of televisions looking at the networks across the world. No, it's not been that fancy. I've been there. 2 guys in a box. But they're really smart. These guys are remote, okay? So they will never go on site for a customer. They do everything they know how to do remotely. Okay? They dial in or tunnel in or tap into a customer's network to perform some type of service. Okay? They're actually in India. Typical services they will provide anything that doesn't require what I would say is what I would term as touch labor. Okay, touch labor means I have to go and touch something to do it. Okay, so for an inventory, I gotta go and touch an asset, right, to be able to inventory it. To deploy it, I gotta be able to install it. Right? I gotta be able to physically touch the server and plug it in. right? Anything that doesn't require touch labor, they can do. Okay, so they do exchange migrations, they do SharePoint assessments and design, they do network configuration, they do network assessments, they also do software builds. Okay, we have 2 customers running in PMO right now where we're building a BAM type tool for them. Okay, and that's GCC building that tool.
We have 2 guys,
It's 2 guys,
and they're little geniuses,
they're little geniuses.
hackers.
Is it Michelle on
Yeah, it's Michelle's guys, yeah.
Bye.
One of them is, one of them's Glenn Carroll. He's a hell of a cricket player. Okay. We also refer to this team as RIM, Remote Infrastructure Management. I don't know why we have 2 names. I don't know. Have them before. Okay, so you'll hear them referred to as RIM. We typically communicate with these guys via the phone, I'm sorry, via email. But we can do phone calls with them as well. Okay, they speak English. They understand how to communicate in English. All that kind of stuff, right? But we treat them just as we treat technicians, in the sense that we never let a technician speak directly to a partner. Never let these guys speak directly with the customer, unless we are sitting on that phone call. Okay, and we control that phone call. Okay, you, in commercial world, Tiana, right, you'd never give one of your technicians an end user number and say, call her and set up an ETA, right? You control that. Same thing here, right? And we treat GCC the same. GCC communicates through us just like a field technician would communicate through us. Okay, same exact way.
Why?
We treat them as a technician.
So are they employees or are they independent contractors?
They are employees of a company called Rival Networks,
Mhm.
and we contract Rival Networks.
Gotcha.
But this is the company that we never tell anybody they're in India.
Right,
For
I
all
mean,
intents
that, you know,
and
there's.
purposes, they sit right next to us.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
I mean, you don't have to lie when somebody asks, yeah, they're in India, but I mean, you know, there's no reason for it to come
Just a company that we subcontract
up. Yeah.
to do all that remote management.
Are there ever instances where, they have to talk to the partners, like, because if they're remotely to their units
Yes.
or something like that?
So what typically happens, and we'll get into the specifics of the service, but what typically happens is when we start one, 2 things would have happened. One, they were engaged in the sales process, and so they asked a lot of their introductory questions. What's your password, what's your IP address, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
They ask that during the sales process sometimes. And so when it comes to us, they already have the information. Other times, it'll come to us first, to the PM team first, and then they have a questionnaire that they email over to that they email to us, and we email over to the customer to get answered. And then based on that questionnaire, they'll either ask more specific questions, or they say, okay, we got everything we need.
Why isn't it universal? So why don't you just have one process?
Because it depends on if the customer bought a SOW-based package or a retainer-based package. Customers can say, I want a SharePoint migration, and we'll mold that for them, or they can buy a retainer and use us for whatever they want. If they buy an SOW-based process, that happens through sales. If they buy a retainer-based process, that happens through
SOW?
statement of work. Okay? Understand GCC. So when we do SOW-based process or we do retainer-based process, okay, for GCC, it's the same thing. When it comes over to us, we send them a message, say, hey guys, here's the scope, here's what the customer wants, go ahead and get started. They come back to us with, here's the list of questions I need, or, hey, I got all the information I need, I'm gonna tell you it's gonna be 8 hours, and I'm starting, here's the date I'm starting. If we get a questionnaire, we go get the questionnaire answered, and once they get the questionnaire, then they can tell us how many hours and when they start. Just like a service technician, no different, there is no difference. We go to GCC and we say, we need this scope done, just like we go to a technician and say, we need this scope done. Okay, I guess the only difference is they're the experts in terms of this technology, so they're the ones who tell us how long. When we dispatch a normal tech, I know it's gonna be a 2-hour repair or a 2-hour install or whatever. GCC, they know, because they're the experts, we wouldn't know, they tell us how long. Okay, just set the ETA and you get it rolling. All right, everybody understand those services? All right, we're gonna go through a couple more here in a second. Okay. All right, so think about how I want to frame this for you guys. So we have two types of customers, okay? We have customers who come to us with large-scale engagements, and we have customers who come to us with one-off type events, okay? Large-scale engagements, companies like NCR, the Beam Team, those are the big ones, will come to us with a very large end user that wants 1,000, or a PC installed at 1,000 stores, okay? Or the latest one we're doing for Beam Team is we're going to install plastic bag holders at Kroger's all over the United States, right? Or in 5 states all over the West, right? So they're large engagements. There's a list of stores we gotta go do and dates we gotta go do it by, okay? And either we determine those dates or the customer determines those dates, depending on what's going on, okay? That's those types of customers. There's also a type of customer that gives us smaller engagements, but a large amount of them, okay? Perfect example is CDW, okay? CDW will give us a large amount of 2 PC installs. They'll sell 1 to Arden Public Schools, they'll sell 1 to the Department of Justice, they'll sell 1 to Department of Veteran Affairs, they'll sell 1 to Cornerstone Church, right? So it's a large, it's many more end users, many more statements of work, scopes of work, right? We'll talk about that. But same types of services, okay? In the sense that you're going on site and you're installing something. Or you're going on site and you're doing an asset inventory, right? Does that make sense? Gonna see our 2 different customers. All right, so CDW runs a very specific way, okay? They have 2 types of services they can sell. One, they can sell a full-fledged statement of work, okay? Or they can sell what's called a SKU, or an EDC. SKU, I don't know what SKU stands for, special catalog unit or something. It's some industry term, SKU, or EDC. And EDC stands for indirect cost. It's a CDW term. EDC is an item number, right, in our system. Okay, so here are the general services, right? These next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 pages in a little packet. It starts with this, right? Describe the services that we offer, as well as the way we sell them. Okay, so the services are all the same. However, we sell them differently. When I say we sell them differently, it means the customer can pay for them differently. Okay? So 6 main services that we're selling the CDW. 2 of them are always delivered in commercial. So it's really only 4 that the project team worries about. The 2 on this first page that are always commercial are help desk and break fix maintenance. Right? That's what you guys do. So the PMs are responsible sometimes for retainer, almost always for installation, almost always for staff aug, and sometimes for managed services. It depends on what type of managed services it is. Okay? All right, let's first talk about a retainer. Okay? Retainers are gift cards. You can walk into your favorite store of choice, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, wherever you want. You could buy a gift card, right? you can buy a little card for $25 that allows you to buy something for $25, right? You can use that whenever you want to buy whatever you want for $25, right? Okay, everybody understand gift card concept? Okay, good. Retainers are the same exact thing. Retainers are a Barrister gift card, okay? Customers can buy retainers or gift cards for Barrister services. The services we're gonna provide are the exact same. Deployment, on-site labor, asset inventory, GCC remote, help desk, break fix, anything they want. Right? They're just paying for it with a gift card.
So there's no discounted rate or anything?
Well, there are, but we're gonna do the second page, so, good question. They just use a gift card to pay for it instead of buying a fixed statement of work. Okay? Retainers are a very powerful item, okay? The reason a retainer is a very powerful item is because most IT managers can't tell you what they need over the next year. Most guys don't know. They don't know what's gonna come up. They don't know what fires are gonna hit them. Okay? But, so, that almost excludes them from our services, right? In the sense that we need a statement of work that says, here's exactly what we're going to do. Well, the great thing about a retainer is here's $1,000 gift card, whatever you need us for, call us, we'll come help. Whatever you need us for. Our sales guys, when they're working at CDW, I think there's like 6 of them dedicated to CDW now. When they're working at CDW, anytime anybody asks for anything, they're taught to lead with a retainer. Sell a retainer.
What's CDW?
CDW is a large computer reseller, IT reseller, okay? They're probably one of our top 5 customers, they're probably top 3 in PMO. They just happen to be a large customer.
Wholesale?
Yeah, wholesale. I think CDW stands for Computer Distribution Warehouse. Okay, so that's the benefit of a retainer. Every customer we work with, that they work with from a sales perspective, they try to lead with a retainer. From a retainer first. Okay? All right, these retainers, you look at the second page, explains to you how the retainers work. Okay? There's $1,000, a $5,000, and a $10,000 retainer. Okay, the discounting, which Melissa asked about, comes in with the cost to CDW. Okay, so CDW buys $1,000, or CDW's end user buys $1,000 retainer. Barrister charges CDW $900. CDW charges their end user $1,000. 10%. Okay. The customer also benefits because they get fixed hourly rates. Okay? The hourly rates that are charged, the second chart that's on the second page, the hourly rates go down the bigger block of money you buy. Just like anything. You buy something at Walmart, buy one of them at Walmart, it's X price. If you go buy a case of them at Sam's, it's Y price. Same exact thing.
So it actually ends up being more than 10%. Realistically.
Yes, but the hourly rate discounts go to the end user, whereas the 10% retainer discount goes to CDW. So the difference. Okay. Does that make sense? But I understand the benefit of a retainer. All right, there are 5, the way retainers are set up, there's 5 labor categories built into a retainer, okay? We tell customers when they buy a retainer, they can purchase this one retainer and get 5 different access to 5 different types of guys, okay? Guy 1 is a field engineer, which is a basic technician, you can go fix a printer, okay? Senior field engineer is gonna be a little bit more advanced guy. And maybe he's the guy who fixes the bigger printers, okay? System engineer is gonna be the guy working around in the server room. He can fix some hardware in the server room, knows what he's doing, can set up a basic network. A senior systems engineer is the guy you're gonna have to troubleshoot any type of server configuration, would build a server at a bigger organization. And then lastly, the infrastructure engineer, that's the guy that could walk into a company like Barrister and build a network from scratch, right? Chris Mel. He would be an infrastructure engineer. Okay? So that one retainer, $1,000 retainer, they can use it for anything they want, and it's provided by one of these 5, we call labor categories, 5 types of guys. Determined on the type of guy, or depending on the type of guy they tell us they want, determines how much we charge the retainer.
How much they have left over?
Run that question by me.
Well, someone were to call and if the cost, if they have $1,000
Yep.
as sitting there in a budget, then to say that they needed an infrastructure engineer,
Okay.
and then they would have so much money left over. At other times, they could utilize those other types of engineers until that $1,000 was depleted.
You got it.
Okay,
Yep. That's it.
gotcha.
Same thing as you go to Best Buy, you get a $25 gift card, you
Right.
just buy a $10 movie. Okay, you got $15 left. You use it. Okay?
What
And
Best
who's in
Buy are you
charge of
shopping
keeping
at?
track of that
What Best Buy
amount
is you
of their end costs?
You wanna
Look at
place
their,
that around?
look at
System.
that.
Hold on. One person at a time.
Sorry.
The system. No, you're okay. The system will track it, so we'll talk about how we account for things more on the billing side, but the system tracks the balance. Okay, so the system knows, I billed $100, so I got $900
Our
left.
system?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And then the customer has access to reports when they work that tells them what balance they have.
Okay.
I'm sorry, James, go ahead.
No, you're good.
All right. Everybody understand rate category or labor categories? Paying needs. Okay.
That comes over on your sales apps when you get it from contracts, right? What
Typically.
skill set you're supposed to need?
Typically.
And what if it doesn't?
You
You have to go figure it out?
So in the PM world, and one of the things we're about to get into is, we also sell what's called non-custom EDCs. So there are pre-baked, great. So, next page is the non-custom EDC list. Okay, we'll talk about non-custom EDCs. So, non-custom EDCs are a price book. Okay, so we have pre-built services and prices and scopes for CDW customers, okay? And so, just like you can walk into Kmart and buy a box off the shelf, we've made it that simple to go buy installations and retainers and everything else, okay? Using this EDC list, okay, this document of 2 services, page and a half, right? We have fixed prices, fixed scopes. We're gonna get into the scopes later, but what's important to know now is if a customer calls into CDW and says, hey, I have 2 desktops I want installed, they don't need to build an SOW, they don't need to buy a retainer, they don't need to do anything else except buy this item, 244-9207. We buy 2 of them. We get a purchase order for 244-9207. And we're expected to know what 244-9207 means. I'll show you how. That gets into your question, to answer your question about the retainers. If they buy a custom retainer, yes, we can get a sales to ops with the rate categories, labor categories, all defined in the sales to ops. However, if they bought a non-custom EDC that's a retainer, it would already be predefined. And all we get is a purchase order. When I say we, all PMO gets is a purchase order with that item number on. And we have to act on that item number. Okay. So Krista, this is all the partner direct, non-custom. When you see a purchase order come over from Katrina, and it's just a purchase order, EDCs. Okay. And we got got scopes in this packet, so we'll go through the scopes. Yep. The numbers at the end of the description lines are the quantities. So, just like we talked about earlier, if you buy in bulk, you get a discount. So if you buy 1 to 2 desktops being deployed, it's price X. If you buy 3 to 4, it's price Y. Buy 5 to 10, it's price Z. Right? So what I'm talking about?
That's YZ. Where are you getting Y's and Z's from?
X, well, just not, there were variable, so.
Gotcha, okay, gotcha.
1 to 2 is 212, 3 to
Yeah.
4 is 81, that's per unit.
I see.
Okay. We'll talk a lot about these EDCs in a little bit, but that's the basic ones. Okay. All right, so just like they have non-custom EDCs, they have custom EDCs. Custom EDCs are a blend between statement of work driven projects and non-custom EDCs. They're the halfway mark. Okay. Non-custom EDC is a very fixed, we're going to install 1 desktop and it costs $200. Right? It's a very fixed statement of work. A general statement of work driven project is completely custom in the sense that every word in that document is built from scratch based on that customer's need. Okay? They want us to show up on site, they want us to check in with the security guard, they want us to walk to the desktop, they want us to unbox it, they want us to put the packet material on the side, they want us to plug in the device, they want us to boot it, they want us to log into it, they want us to run a batch script, they want us to train the end user on how to use it, they want us to box up the old unit and ship it back to them, right? Very, 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 very specific. That's a SOW-based deal, SOW-based deal. Custom EDCs give a blend between those two, right? Between our non-custom EDCs and our SOWs, okay? Custom EDCs say, look, you can build the tasks of the SOW that you want. However, use these hourly rates, okay? Tell us what type of technology